Hi guys, thanks for joining. My name's Rounsavall from TwelveLabs. We're a foundation model builder in the AI space today. Want to introduce you to the Dyn Media folks and Moritz. Moritz, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Moritz. I'm head of product and tech at Dyn Media. And to make it a little shorter, Dyn Media is a new sports streaming service in Germany, and we focus on sports, handball, basketball, volleyball, table tennis, and hockey. So everything but the big sports, soccer. And happy to introduce you to what we do and what we do together in a little while.
Fantastic. So the fun part about this story is Moritz and I met here in Vegas literally 4 months ago. So this has moved very fast and they're already in production, which is a great story to tell in and of itself. Kind of speaks to what you can do when you work with good teams and good people who actually understand what they're trying to get accomplished and have a good goal. A little bit about TwelveLabs, before I hand it off to Moritz to speak to their specific use case. But TwelveLabs, I mentioned, is a foundation model builder in the AI space. We're a multimodal model. Right. So when you're looking for content, and you can't find those key moments, those are the areas we help with specifically. So TwelveLabs is great at understanding emotion and having contextual relevance to what's actually occurring in it. Large customers, you can think of your largest, sports leagues and the teams that we work with where they're trying to improve the performance across the types of content they're actually producing for their consumers and their fan base, specifically the emotional content, the things that are hard to find in tagging solutions, especially where we can actually understand those pieces of content exceptionally well. You can think of things like when Travis Kelce flashed the heart sign to Taylor Swift in the stands, right? Those things are not tagged for in a traditional method today, but those are things that we understand exceptionally well and can help pull out of the archives and the content feeds to better surface content to customers themselves. We built our model from the ground up for video. Which is very different. So if you look at traditional LLMs that are in the space today, they were built text-based and they take a frame of video to understand that. And then a second later, they'll take another frame and they try to essentially make an assumption of what's occurring between the frames for relevance of what's actually occurring within the action of that particular video space. Our engine is actually watching content much like a viewer would watch content. So we're watching the video, we're listening to the audio, we're reading the text that's on the screen. And because of that, we can have an emotional connection with it and understand it much like a human. So the embeddings that we're creating are much like memories that you store in your own brain. And I'll give you an example of that. If I describe a scene today of a main character in a movie that's given the choice between a red pill and a green pill or blue pill, what movie would you think of? Most of you are going to pull The Matrix, but you didn't sort through your database to recall that, did you? It just popped out as a memory from the description that I gave you. That's how our embeddings are built. They're built like memories in your brain so that you can recall those key moments specifically.
All right. So then we're going to continue without slides. And I want to give you a little bit of context about what Dyn does, because that's going to be relevant of why we're working together with TwelveLabs. So I already told you that Dyn is basically broadcasting or streaming 5 sports in the German region, right? But for us, it's more than just streaming sports. Streaming sports is the short version. Our mission is to actually increase the reach and appreciation for those sports. And with that, not just help them grow, but also obviously help our business model grow. In order to do so, however, we need to do things vastly different than they've been done before, because we obviously need to create efficiencies and we need to do something different in order to grow those sports. And for that, we've done 3 key things that I want to introduce you to. So number 1 is, apart from like what normal streaming services do, we don't cherry pick like only the highlight rights, so only the top matches, right? We go deep. So if we say we want to help people embrace the sports that we have, we want to create an authentic home of sports. That means that we actually acquire the rights for a certain sport in an entire category. And an example, if you want to watch handball in Germany, no matter which gender, which competition, which or which level of competition, right? You can't watch it without coming to us, which makes us a credible and authentic source for the home of handball. Second is, if we want to make this successful, we also need to make sure that we create an ecosystem of distributing content, helping customers. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Helping our leagues, clubs and players and media partners to distribute the content that we also create or that they create as well, to make sure that everybody's able to tell the best story possible. Right. And lastly, if you want to really grow the sport, we say we need to be more committed. So we created a feature called Move Your Sport. So when you subscribe to our service, you can dedicate 10% of your subscription fee that we then put into the youth development work of those sports, so that we can really make sure that the talent of the next level is coming back. For us, why is that really important? And I'm come back to the second point. We are a team of less than 80 people, and we broadcast over 6,000 matches. Or we have broadcasted over 6,000 matches yet, and we broadcast over 3,000 matches per year. What does it mean? Well, it means that we have a resource limitation when it comes to content workflows, creating editorial content, and also supporting that ecosystem that I just told you about. So for us, it was very, very clear when we created Dyn Media, what we need to do is we need to work with automation. Automation works only if you have the relevant metadata. So when we started Dyn Media, we already had in mind that we need to automatically add the information of what match is it, what are the key moments in this match, so sports metadata, which was already available. However, as Chad already told you, sports metadata lacks a very important part, and that is the emotional side of things and also qualitative information around this sports metadata. So for example, if I want to have or if I want to create a content piece like the fair play moment of the match, or if I want to have a young fan that is really crying of joy because he meets his idol, that's something that I can't find in sports metadata. So we looked for opportunities of how we can add this qualitative metadata also to our data pool. What it does is that our editorial team now, instead of having to search through the content that we have, and again, I said we are creating 6,000, we have created already over 6,000 matches, and we're adding every season 3,000 matches. Without them having to walk through all of the content, we're adding that data with the capabilities of the TwelveLabs technology. Second part of the ecosystem, I told you we are also creating services for our leagues, clubs, and partners that work together with us. So we've created something called Content Desk. It's our product and our platform that we use to aggregate, enrich, and distribute content with a wide variety of the ecosystem. So Content Desk sits on a powerful media asset management called Mimir. And luckily, and that's also one of the criteria why we're working with TwelveLabs, TwelveLabs has a standing integration with Mimir. So when we now put all of the content that we have into Mimir, and we have the integration from TwelveLabs with Mimir, we are able to get all of those information about what is actually happening in the match in our existing ecosystem. So we can search in Mimir, and therefore we can also search in Content Desk for things like a young fan trying to find or getting very emotional because he meets his idol for the first time, right? So that's something that's really, really powerful for us, because we use Content Desk to democratize the use of content in our entire ecosystem, meaning that through Mimir and through the Content Desk, we make the technology that we use from TwelveLabs available to like an entire ecosystem of sport users within the German market, allowing them to really find the relevant stories that are close to the hearts of the fans. And lastly, we are working together with the Handball Bundesliga, not just as a partner and as their broadcaster, but they've elected us to become their official archive provider, meaning that we now sit on over 30 years of handball archive. Why is that important? Well, for the last couple of years, we have like well-tagged sports metadata, but for the past years, we don't have that at all, right? So bringing in a technology like TwelveLabs, not only being able to add this emotional intelligence layer, but also being able to detect the sports metadata of historical content, allows us to really create an asset out of this archive, which before just lived on an on-prem system where people just couldn't find relevant information, or it was very, very, very hard to get relevant information. And with this partnership, it allows us to, again, not just add the emotional intelligence level, but actually enrich the archive also with relevant sports information to exactly find what people are looking for. And just imagine, you've got very small clubs that don't have a huge expertise in how to work with media, and where sometimes interns have to do a lot of stuff that you would normally see like full-time employees do at media companies. So if a new intern comes into the company and he has to create an emotional highlight clip for the legend that is retiring on the next weekend, instead of having to panic and not being able to find that content, we now have the opportunity for them to not just go through the past matches of the season, but to also look through the archive and find the right content to tell the best story possible, and hence also help us with our mission. And I guess by now, we are handing over for questions, because I guess we are ready for the audience.
Questions?
What technology are you using for your archiving for all of this media?
So our content lives in AWS, so it sits in the S3, and Mimir, the asset management, is also a SaaS service that fully operates and lives in AWS.
Hi, good morning. What were the top 3 things that made it possible to go from meeting for the first time to integration and product that's functional and shipping in 4 months? Like, how did that happen so quick, and why?
So I think there's a couple of things to the story. So first, obviously, having a determined partner was very, very helpful. So having somebody who was able to make resources available for a quick understanding of what is possible with the technology, how we could go the next step, that was key. Second point, however, was that the content was already available. So we had everything in S3, right? So making that content available to TwelveLabs, which also sits in AWS, is very, very easy for us. So having all of that technology available, or everything running on the same cloud, really helped us. I'm not sure how it is with other partners, but really helped us to quicken that process. And then having also a dedicated team on my end, meaning that we had the foundational model already comes with a lot of things out of the box, like this emotional detection and so on. But we also obviously wanted to have the understanding of the sports metadata on archive content. So having a team that was able to get the data synchronized before we already had our first talks and the first discussions allowed us to already have a training set available when we were actually discussing what we want to going forward. So I think the preparation before we started, the determination of the team, and then having the same technology stack, so to say, made a lot of things very easy for us.
And from us, we're just building a technology layer in AI that exists. It's API accessed. So multiple business systems can actually connect to it. And a company like Mimir that integrated us here, it's a matter of hours, maybe 2 days max, to actually integrate our products into their platforms. We do that, by the way, with not just asset management systems, but also things like Databricks and Snowflakes and others. So you can start bringing consumption data to video intelligence, right? So you can imagine a fan goes to a team shop and buys a jersey. We know to serve that fan more of that player's content, or vice versa. If the fan is consuming content of a certain player, we can offer them a coupon to go buy a jersey, right? So you could start marrying data in multiple places.
Hi, my question is, given how fast the industry is moving in the multimodal AI and stuff, any of you can answer this. Like there's new models coming out that are natively multimodal.
It's really hard to understand. Can you speak up a little bit?
Hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
So my question was, there's a lot of natively model models that's coming out. So you have your content, and how do you choose which of these models or which of these technologies works much better? Like, how does the evaluation process look, right? Say you have the Quinns, the Geminis, right? So you work with TwelveLabs, right? So how do you do that? Like, you have so many people offering these services.
Yeah, 100%. So TwelveLabs, based on white papers that we saw, their models just outperform all the other models out there, right? So in terms of accuracy, in terms of performance, in terms of cost, right? So that's really was one of the criteria for us. And secondly, so he already said it, they integrate via API. Being able to test with others is also an option, right? But seeing how their models perform, we wanted to go with the best there is. On the sports content out there, and we saw that we are able to move with them really, really quickly. So number one, they're just by definition at the moment the market leader, and number two, we were able to really quickly move from A to B, which allowed or which we had as two criteria to go forward with this.
And we actually work really hard to make it simple and easy for people to discover us. So if you go to our website, there's something called Playground on that. You can sign up. It's free. You can actually start testing for free within the account itself. We have a number of customers who self-serve launch right from that test Playground experience and move forward without us even being aware of it, essentially.
Hello. I'm interested in kind of the intricacies between, you talked about the qualitative tagging and the emotional resonance. How do you, what sort of challenges have you ran into integrating into different sports?
So for the start, we're looking at a handball, right? So at the moment, we do it with the key right that we have. The second sport that we have in mind is basketball. So at the moment, I can't tell you the challenges that we're going to run into with the other sports. So the first thing that we've did is handball, and there it's about. So first of all, we have the data available, right? So there's a really good training set for the model already because we have the key moments on a time-based or already time-based synchronization. So I'm going to hope that it's going to be as easy as it is with handball also for the other sports, right? Because we have a great training set. But to be very transparent, at the moment, I couldn't tell you what the challenges are with the other sports because we just done handball now.
Yeah, and from a foundation model perspective, the model is going to be, I refer to it as like a high school grade education level of understanding of most sports, right? So that's great for most common use cases. But in the case of Dyn Media and others, you're actually going to want a PhD level understanding of the sport itself. So we allow customers to build what's referred to as a fine-tune model on top of that. You can kind of assume something like a NFL player spiking the football. Well, our model would initially think of spike as a railroad spike. So it's the translation of in this case, spike means somebody throwing the football against the ground. And for all sports, or really kind of any kind of unique type of content, we allow that experience of fine tuning on top of our model.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.